Warning. The following is intended for mature audiences. It includes references to the use of illicit substances as well as crude humor. Viewer discretion is advised. We're the best at what we do, America. And what we do is repeat ourselves. I'm Zach Nanimus.
Johnny Dim.
And today we are doing the third installment of the Month of Logan. Part of the Quite Contrary series where we talk about all the movies that are focused on Wolverine. Now, we added today's movie to the list because of one specific detail. Today we're talking about the Days of Future Past. And while the Days of Future Past doesn't even have Wolverine in the title, it is a movie where they decided to take a plot point from the comic books and make it about Wolverine instead of another character, this time being Kitty Pryde.
But we also need to actually point out that this movie was well reviewed. It's in the 90% something at Rotten Tomatoes.
So here's what sucked about it. Number one, boring future Sentinel design is boring. Now, while I will say that I really enjoyed the interpretation of the Sentinels from 73 in this movie, they don't look too terribly much like the ones that we're used to in the comics and the television show, but they are a unique twist on it. In the future, they did little more than just make them the T-1000.
You know what they remind me of?
What?
Putties. The putty villains in Power Rangers.
Just sort of amorphous. You need to watch that. That is a racial slur somewhere.
Is it?
Yeah, just sort of being like humanoid profile, very generic, kind of no real features to them. As a matter of fact, they look naked.
Yeah, they do.
And that actually leads me to believe that they may be grooming us for a pornographic spin-off. Days of Future Past. Number two. Kitty Pryde should have been the focus of the story. This goes back to exactly why we think of this as a Wolverine movie. We think of this as a Wolverine movie because they took Kitty Pryde's I don't even know what she's doing. Maybe it has something to do with quantum tunneling, and of course that has nothing to do with temporal mechanics. Well, it could. We don't know. But
wormholes through time and space.
They used her ability to send Logan back in time when originally they sent her. And they kind of gave her the shaft in the whole thing. And this would have been such a good opportunity for them to show a little bit more diversity as far as lead characters are concerned. Because they always make it about Wolverine because he's the most popular character.
He brings in the cash.
He brings in the cash,
the dough.
And he brings in the...
How am I doing?
Do you have like a legal claim to Warlocks? Is that why you're still here? Okay.
Yep.
On top of all that, I really do think that Ellen Page could have been the lead in this movie. And they could have still given Wolverine business to do back in 73. The plot establishes that he was back there still doing stuff, so she could have picked him up saying, hey, one day you're going to be an X-Men, come with me, we're going to save everybody. On top of that, she's got computer skills, so they could have had some cute bits where she talks about how outdated the technology is back then, and it just would have been a lot of fun.
She has cute bits. Sorry. Number three. Why in the hell can Magneto turn on the robots? They have this scene in the movie. Magneto goes into the railroad cars while it's moving.
They're transporting the Sentinels.
And he's like, I'm going to take all these railroad links, the metal in which the train rides on, and he uses his manipulating metal ability. We don't doubt the metal ability. He completely can do whatever he wants with it.
Actually, I doubt the metal ability. That's a stupid way to say it. He's the master of magnetism. He creates magnetic fields.
Right.
He doesn't control metal, but I digress.
Yeah, so in the scene, he actually takes this metal and he molds it into these little, basically slithering things of metal that go into the Sentinels. And they go into the Sentinels, and all of a sudden, because he does that, he becomes a computer programmer and hacks into the machines and is able to control them any way he wants.
Oh, but didn't you see, Johnny, that the metal actually became little wires?
I did see that.
The iron wiring, very popular.
As good as copper.
And it went into the little control unit.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, I saw. The heart of the Sentinel, Johnny. And he controlled its heart.
Okay. That is completely false and stupid.
Really where they messed up here was wasting an opportunity to create something much more visually interesting than simply robots. He could have lined all their limbs with this metal and then had to control them manually, which would have made them kind of jerky, almost like a techno-zombie sort of aesthetic.
I don't know, Zach. If Michael Fassbender would have shoved a metal pole up my ass, I think I'd do whatever he wants. Number 4, homework.
Do you like my little dance?
Yeah, I did like your dance.
Okay.
Days of Future Past has too much information just about it. It's based on an established property that has a lot of lore, right? And not everybody going into this movie is going to know that lore.
And this lore is established in the previous movies, and as a result, you kind of have to watch absolutely every single movie in order to really appreciate this one.
Yeah, I think of the X-Men movies, this one is the most guilty of this. It does not stand alone. You can't just go in blind to what the X-Men are. It would be very hard to do that.
Some of the stuff that you have to know that is not explained in the movie. Professor Xavier and Magneto came together to create Cerebro, which is something that amplifies Professor X's powers so that he can find mutants. You have to, off the top of your head, be able to recognize super obscure character designs, such as Warpath, Bishop, Blink.
And the one thing that's never explained to anybody, ever, is where the hell are Mystique's nipples?
Number 5, where is Quicksilver? Where is Silver? Where is Silver? Here I am. Here I am. Quicksilver is by far the most powerful character introduced in this movie. Even Professor Xavier with his powers, which he didn't have at the time, even Professor Xavier with his powers would not have been able to stop Quicksilver. He moves too quickly, literally at the speed, possibly even past the speed of light. As a result, Quicksilver should have been the way everything gets solved in the movie. Quicksilver should have been there at the Paris Accords. Quicksilver should have been there in DC when Magneto dropped a baseball diamond on the White House. And I know that he could have been useful here because we're talking about an individual who is fast enough to save everyone in the X-Mansion from an explosion, who's fast enough to outrun radio waves, and is fast enough to ruin an entire season of American Horror Story. Before we go, I do want to remind everybody that this is only the 3rd installment of the Month of Logan. Because next week, we're going to be reviewing Logan itself. So get ready for this.
It looks like Mr. Monson has some muscle.
Looks that way. He's a friend of mine.
Friend with a big mouth.
I hear that a lot.
And you probably hear this too.
More than I'd like.
And you know the drill. I'm gonna count to 3, and you're gonna start walking away.
I got rights to this one.
1.
I have a lawyer now.
2.
3.
You all right, boss?
You know the drill. Get the hell out of here.
Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing. You guys are awesome. And check out some other videos. I'm going to put one right here. I'm going to put the subscription button over Zach's face. So click that if you have not subscribed yet. And then there will be other videos around. Click them.